Let's take a look at Madden 26 versus Madden 25 side by side. And let's start with player movement. The biggest change gameplay wise, they sped the movement up. It's snappier, it's faster, the change of direction is better. As you can see here, weaving between the numbers, it's a lot tighter. You can make turns a little bit quicker now. Here we're going to look at the ball carrier moves, and you can see with the juke, they've added head fakes in with the juke now, so they look a little more realistic. However, I think the jukes were a little bit better at making people miss last year. The spin move, however, seems to be pretty much identical, but with the game speed being a little faster, it kind of speeds it up just a little bit, but overall the animation is the same. And now let's look at the new double juke that they added. You can see this one looks a lot more realistic, and this one is a lot better than last year. And here's just a close-up look in slow motion of the Madden 26 double juke. As you could see, really fast side to side, good head movement on it. This is a nice addition to the game. Now, comparing some routes from wide receivers, notice a highly rated receiver will kind of add a little bit more of head fakes into his route, which I think is really nice. This is something that you see in real life, so it kind of looks a lot cleaner on field this year. Here, we're going to run a little bit of a deeper route with Jamar Chase, and you'll see again, kind of has a little bit of a head fake and a fake to the inside, whereas before he was kind of just running just a regular corner. So this looks a lot better. Now let's look at the pregame intro. So they redid all of these for every team this year. So on the left last year, this was kind of a generic intro that you would get for every game, day or nighttime, pretty much warming up on the field and then players coming out. Now this year, every team has a unique entrance. Some are a lot better than others. Some are actually, not that great and they need to build them out more. But as you can see with the 49ers for their nighttime entrance, you can see they've got Joe Montana. They've got a lot of stuff going on. So it's much more of a spectacle now, at least with some of the better teams, especially for night versus daytime. You do get some different runouts, but for some of the better teams, the night runouts are pretty epic. They've got a lot of specialty things included into them, traditions and stuff like that. Here we're just kind of jumping into one with the Chiefs right here just to show you a few different clips of what some of these nighttime runouts look like, whereas before in Madden 25 you kind of just had the same generic intro for every team. Now the one area that I would say that I think they could make this better is I still liked some of the stuff they did last year in 25 with the players warming up on the field and stretching. I kind of wish they would add that in after some of these runouts, because again, if you don't want to see any of this, you could just press a button and skip right through all of it. But for people that like watching it, I think it would be cool to have the cool runouts, have the mascots and things like that they did add this year, have all the fire and the pyro and the cool stuff, but still show some warming up after the intros. I think that would make it a little bit better. But here are just a few clips of what the new intros look like. Now here we're going to show the Super Bowl intro. They did redo this one and made this one better. So last year we kind of had that cinematic kind of intro here for the Super Bowl. And you did sometimes get even this intro here on the left for regular games. If it was like a big division game or a nighttime game, you would get this intro. But for the Super Bowl, they kind of always gave you this one. Whereas now this year, they redid the Super Bowl intro. I think they made it a little bit better. They made it a little bit longer as well, because as you can see here soon, the one on the left is going to end, but the Super Bowl intro for 26 is going to keep playing because it is quite a bit longer. So I do think this is an area that they made it a little bit better. They show a little bit more of each team. As we're jumping completely into 26 now, as you can see, the 25 intro is done at this point, and we still got quite a bit more of the 26 one to go. So I do think this is pretty cool. I liked it. I think this is the biggest game that you could have playing in Madden. So they should make it more of a spectacle, make it bigger. So they've definitely done some good work with that this year for the intros of the 26 Super Bowl. Now let's take a look at the Super Bowl celebration. So I would say this is about 90% the same. There are maybe a couple different shots in here or a couple different angles, but there are also a lot of the exact same shots in here. And this was last updated last year. Before that, it was updated 3 years prior. So it seems like right now they're kind of on a every 3 year deal where they'll completely redo the Super Bowl celebration. And then in between that, they kind of do some minor tweaks. They'll change a few angles or a few scenes. They also have a different guy walking the trophy out. Now it's Charles Woodson instead of Randy Moss. So like I said, it's about 90% the same, but there are a few little differences kind of sprinkled in there, a few different shots and stuff like that. So I've always said every year, I just kind of wish every Super Bowl celebration they have, just kind of give them all to us in the game. I don't know, like, if that would be a problem. Like, I don't know, like, just let it rotate so you're not just seeing the same one every single time you win. But here you go. Hey, if you're enjoying this video and getting value out of it, it would help me out a ton if you subscribed and turned the bell icon on. That way you're up to date with all of the latest Madden and college football news. And you could always unsub at any time if you get tired of the videos. Now let's take a look at the weather. This is a big area they improved. So right here you're seeing is just the regular rain option or the light rain option for 25 versus 26, which looks about the same. Now here on the right, we're jumping to the heavy rain, which is a new addition to the game. You could not do this in 25. So you can see the heavy rain, it gives you a little bit more fog, a little bit more of a downpour. So this is kind of a more extreme version of the rain that you can now play in. Now jumping over to the snow here, last year we just had a regular snow option. This on the right here is the light snow for Madden 26, so you can see the difference there. However, when we jump over to the new heavy snow option, this one is a lot heavier than the regular snow from last year. It's more of a downfall, it's a lot foggier, you can't see. And here we're just going to show a couple clips actually playing in it, because it's really hard to play and you can't really see too good. You're going to be slipping around a lot if you try to change direction, so it's pretty cool. Now here's a close-up of the jerseys in the rain, just trying to show you the thorough details here. You can see that they did rework the jerseys as a whole. They look better, but in terms of the rain on them, they look about the same. Here are the rain drops on the helmets, and you can see with 26, they definitely beat up on the helmets just a little bit more, but nothing really crazy, nothing that most people would really notice. Just trying to be thorough here. Here are the jerseys getting dirty. This is something they did a lot of work with this year, and I think this really only happens on real grass fields. I don't think it happens on turf fields, but you could see the jerseys get a lot dirtier this year. Whether you're playing in rain or not, as long as you're playing on a real grass field, you will see this pile up on jerseys throughout the game. Let's take a look at some of the player likeness. So we have a few players that got new scans this year, but also just looking at kind of where they've come from. You could see old Saquon versus new, just a lot more detail, and it looks like his current day self. Same thing with CeeDee Lamb. Both of these guys, their last scans were their rookie ones, so you could see just kind of how far it's come in those few years. Here's a look at Jordan Love, who did have a new scan last year, but he got another new one this year, so you could just see graphically, just a little bit different, looks more like himself, has the new hairstyle and things like that. Also just kind of can take a look at some of the jersey details as well here. Sam Darnold was another guy that got a new scan this year, so just kind of showing him up close so you could see, again, like not just the fact that it's updated, but look at kind of where it came from since their last scan. You could see that, you know, it just looks a lot better now. And here I'll just show a few people that finally got their scans put into the game. I did a whole video on this, so I will link that below in the pinned comment if you want to see every new player likeness. But here is Joe Mixon. Just want to make sure that some of them are included in this video. Some of the big name players, JSN here from the Seahawks. And a few of the rookies, if you haven't seen my other video, Cam Ward, I mean, he looks pretty on point. That looks exactly like him. And again, I will link a video below in the pinned comment that shows every player likeness that was updated, along with equipment and stuff like that. Here's a look at Ashton Genty. So again, just kind of want to be thorough, want to include all of this stuff in the video so you can just see graphically kind of what the game's looking like, what the new faces are looking like, and things like that. So here is a look at Travis Hunter in the game. And one last rookie here. Here is a look at Jackson Dart as well. The hair, the jersey, everything. Just want you to get a full good look at what everything is looking like. Here's a look at the player models last year versus this year. They definitely did good work with the leaner players. They added a new lean body type. So you could see Jaden Daniels looked a lot bulkier, a lot stockier last year. Whereas this year he looks more like himself. And the same goes for players like Devontae Smith. He's always looked too big, too bulky in the game because they did not have the lean player model. Now they've added that to the game, and you could see that the Slim Reaper actually looks truly slim now, and it looks exactly like his real life self. Now here, look at the jerseys up close, because like I said a minute ago, they did redo the jersey this year. You can notice it mostly on the collar. Look how the collar, how bad it looked before. Not sure why it looked like that versus how it looks now. Everything looks proper. The shield fits on there properly. So the jerseys and the uniforms are just more accurate now, more detail in Madden 26. Now let's look at signature QB animations. So notice Lamar, this on the run throw. Notice this year versus last year, they've completely redone all of these signature animations. Some of them are going to be harder to see. Some of them aren't like crazy differences, but notice just the way each QB holds the ball. They all have different holds. Some hold it higher, some hold it lower. Their releases in the pocket and on the run are more accurate to their real life selves now. Like I said, the way they hold the ball, the way they pat the ball, the releases. They also did work with some of the running and locomotion. So you can notice with Kyler Murray, how he runs exactly like his real life self now, whereas last year he had a more generic run. You could see Jaden Daniels has more of a throwing motion like his real life self now in the pocket, or these little quick throws to the flats. They've done a lot of work with the QBs this year, and just throwing in general so that the ball actually releases more properly out of their hands. Here's a look at the sidelines. So they're basically still about the same. The only real difference is you'll see some players on the sidelines wearing towels now, but that's about it. Still have a lot of generic players and some real life players mixed in, and they both still react to the big plays or the bad plays kind of the same way. Here's a look at the crowd up close. Honestly, I kind of feel like the crowd last year looks a little better just because it's more colorful. They've got more of the team colors going on in the crowd, whereas this year it looks a little bit more generic. Now, I will say like the up close crowd shots you see during the game are a little better this year, but overall, you know, not much of a difference. Here's a look at the new stadium graphic. So you could see with the Ravens on the left, it's just this generic graphic and every team had the same one, whereas now most teams have their real life graphics on the big screens in the stadium. So this is just a look at the Ravens, for example, but pretty much every team has this. Now let's take a quick look at the broadcast cam view. I don't really feel like there's much of a difference this year. I mean, obviously there's new scoreboards this year. You could see this is the standard Madden 26 scoreboard on the right, but you do get different scoreboards for Sunday, Monday, and Thursday night games, which is pretty cool. But in terms of just the view from broadcast, last year they made a nice update with this when they made the players pre-play move on defense and kind of call out signals, which made it kind of look more like a real game, but you know, they just carried that into this year. So it's not like a huge difference. I would say the broadcast view, I think to me, other than the fact that the scoreboard's different, it's about the same look, you know, visually as last year, but I just wanted to give you the side-by-side comparison. Here's a look at the main menu last year versus this year. They kept kind of the same minimal look, which I don't mind. I think more people probably prefer this. They've got some different stuff going on in the background, of course, but same kind of menu style. They probably won't change this for a few years. They usually kind of redo this every so many years and then stick with it for a while. I don't mind it. I think it works fine, but I do like some of the real life shots going on in the background. I think that looks nice. Here's a look at the franchise UI main menu. So most of this is still going to be the same. There are a few differences, but the overall UI for this is going to be the same because they updated it last year. So again, they're probably going to stick with this for at least a few years, but I like on the right stick how you could flick over and get info. This is new. They have a new coach approval tab. They redid a lot of stuff with coaches. So that is a new screen within the UI that you can manage, which we'll talk about a little bit more in a second, but that's one of the biggest differences to franchise. Now here's something I have to talk about. Loading into a player card. Look how quick it was last year versus this year, which is crazy because they said they did a lot of work with making the menus faster, the loading faster, and in some areas they definitely did. In some areas the menu is faster, but this is one of the main areas going into a player card that you have to do a lot, and this is like 5 times slower than last year. They have got to fix this. Now here's a look at the staff management screen. Like I said, this is one of the bigger areas that change because now you have all these different coach abilities. You've got coach approval ratings. You've got these different things you can equip. You've got play sheets. So this is a lot more intuitive than last year, and there's a lot more to manage here, which I think is nice. Now, if you want to see all of the new player likeness equipment and little details that were added to Madden 26, make sure to check out this video right here on the screen.